gone by. Obviously, been the past 2 weeks, they've only dropped one set, and it's against the giant killers of Glave's Esports Rose. So in terms of just overall, I think that they've done a super well job of just beating teams below them down, and they do really well against at least making it competitive versus the top tier teams.
Exactly. Getting started with game number 1 of this best of 2 series. Again, both of these teams looking to feel a little bit more comfortable about where they are in the standings, specifically Darkside. A lot of neighbors looking to try to crawl on top of them in terms of standings placement. Only the top 6 teams from the mid-league are going to be going into playoffs, and the Darkside squad sitting in murky waters, starting to ban Seraphine and Udyr. Honestly, I feel like the all-star champions that have been coming through for Omega Gaming in the past couple weeks.
Yeah, if you could give a champion an award, you would have to give Seraphine the award for being able to be flexed, being first picked. Mr. Olaf makes it through. I'm excited. This is already going to be a spicy game. But again, Seraphine, Olaf, Seraphine and Udyr, champions that we've seen throughout the entire Excellency mid-league, have kind of dominated a lot of their positions. Seraphine is so flexible, does a lot of work, especially in those team fights that she kind of really shuts down any type of comp that tries to run in at you. So I can understand if you want to take that Hecarim first pick, why you'd be scared of the Seraphine. Omega Gaming does look like they're going to lock in this really strong bot lane of Tristana and Rel. I love how much kind of 2v2 potential that these champs have and how much control that they kind of bring, especially into those early dragon fights. What do you think about that, Mac?
I think if the Halo Blades is going to come out, and especially with their early pressure that Rel can put on the champions, I think we do have to consider potentially, even if Rel isn't mounted and the Tristana's kind of synced up, he can jump in and actually potentially find a Rel stun. Kind of a cool interaction. I do want to look specifically with kind of how this draft is unfolding. We have a really, really interesting jungle matchup, and Princeton on the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed has been where the team has been able to make plays through him finding just either map diffs or really solid ganks. How do you feel about the Hecarim first pick getting just kind of traded for this Olaf?
We've seen this before, this jungle matchup of the Hecarim versus the Olaf, and it's scary for both sides, because the fear is that if Hecarim makes it that late game, he's such a big carry threat. He does so much work. He can disrupt the front line, disrupt the back line. He can do a lot of things.
Right.
The fear is that Olaf is such a strong early game champion, and we've seen in Excellency where if teams get to that early game lead, especially with how dominant Olaf can be with the dragon control, and the Rift Herald control, he can really kind of take over, especially in the early game. So, like, the fear is for Omega Gaming, who obviously have locked in this Hecarim, they need to make sure that the Hecarim gets through the early game without getting too dominated. Because if Mr. Olaf takes your jungle, Mr. Olaf will make sure that you cannot farm a single Wraith camp, a single Gromp camp, and there'll be one sad horse.
Well, Mr. Olaf for sure will not have to worry about the attack speed reduction from the Malphite as long as it's Ragnarok and roll time. We see the bans targeting the top side for Omega Gaming, wanting to get rid of that Shen and Mordekaiser, both pretty good into the Malphite. Meanwhile, Darkside really want to see if they can limit Princeton, who is still going to be able to get his hands on the Syndra. Darkside saved this red 5 pick for Coach in the mid lane. What are you thinking, Gungeon?
I think the Syndra pick overall, I get what they want to do. I think it's just a safe mid lane. She's a stat check mage. If she gets strong, if she can kind of turn that 2v2 of the Hecarim and the Syndra, it's really strong.
Yeah.
The fear is that Darkside do have counters. They could pick something like the Echo to go into that side lane. Obviously, it is not a champ that Coach plays, but if they want to send crits, they have the flexibility. And that's something that we talked about, that they have the flexibility to have crits in this game as well. So they could end up picking something that kind of deals with the Syndra well in just overall laning. The pick doesn't.
Well, they do have to pick something.
Yeah,
or maybe we're just wrong here, and they actually don't have to pick anything. It is going to be Corki for that final champion, and I really actually like that lock-in. Should hopefully be able to try to scale into the late game and contest the Syndra. In the package offers a really cool engage tool that can still kind of put Coach in the driver's seat for making some shot calls.
Yeah, and obviously, in terms of the heart and soul of um, of the teams, this kind of coach and crits lane swap is going to be really important for the side of Darkside. They've obviously committed to this, and I do expect, honestly, in terms of they're probably going to end up lane swapping back and having crits on the Corki pick. It's just a champion that is going to excel, especially going into the late game. And if he does end up picking up that Hex Drink early on, the kill threat that the Syndra has is going to be really limited. So I like the pick from Darkside. They did need some sort of consistent damage because, again, right now they are a very low damage team comp with the Poppy and the Jhin Thresh bot lane. So I like the pick from the side of Darkside. And it's going to be important because if they can keep crits alive and safe as the game goes on, he can really try to take this game over. The fear is that you have Hecarim engaged, you have Rel engaged, you have Malphite engaged, and you have a Rel that can put her E on top of a Hecarim or a Malphite. So I think that Rice every meal is going to have a really hard job on this Thresh, trying to keep his carries alive.
It is a substitution coming through for the side of Darkside. Crits is not up in that top lane, unless he got a name change and didn't tell me. Right now, Stubby is up there on the Poppy, fittingly enough, and Coach is going to be, as we were talking about before, on this Corki pick going up against the Syndra. Darkside, again, as we mentioned earlier, Gungeon really needs wins to put themselves in a more comfortable position because they're right there in the neck with Legendary Wolves right there with them, as well as Elventus Lime and Divine Ascension Ruby among kind of the four teams I feel like that are going to end up being kind of a last two in, last two out situation as we finish up here with 2 weeks left, 4 total games left, this being one of them. Darkside, a really tough matchup here against Omega Gaming. Looking now, we see the draft compositions kind of all laid out. Gungeon, who are you going to be watching to really step up for Darkside in this big matchup?
In terms of who needs to step up, I mean, it has to be Coach and Zongi. This mid lane 2v2 is going to be super important because, again, Zongi has all the ability, especially in the early game. He is a jungler that we've seen kind of take over a lot of these early games, and he's going to have to do that because overall, Omega Gaming Unleashes comp, it kind of looks like Voltron. If you look at it, the head is there, the magic damage there, the Tristana Rel is there. It has it all. There's not really that many flaws, so Darkside does have to execute a lot. It's just a lot simpler for Omega Gaming to win. Malphite presses R, we jump in, we kill everybody. Darkside's going to have to do a lot of work, especially in the lane phase, and especially Zongi, to try to get something going, because if they don't end up kind of keeping Coach safe, getting the early game to a good position where they can try to, because they are what they are, it's going to be a poke comp. Corki hits from range, Jhin hits from range. They kind of want to whittle you down, and then just hopefully that Zongi and Poppy can get some sort of flank or just a run in and then beat the front line of Omega Gaming. Because if that doesn't happen, then there's a fear that Darkside just lacks the damage. If Coach falls behind, there's not much consistent damage coming out from the side of Darkside.
If Coach is getting behind against the Syndra, I don't think Darkside even want to be in a position in the game where that's going on, just because, I mean, we know kind of the player that Princeton has been, especially these past couple weeks. I've been seeing on social media. I believe the Omega Gaming social media account has given him MVP for the week 2 weeks in a row now on these mage-style champions. So this is really right in his comfort zone. And again, I completely agree with you, Gungeon. Coach needs to have a massive game, especially even outside of lane, how he's going to be using the package. I think kind of the biggest question mark, though, for me is this bot lane right now. How big of a skill matchup do you think it is? Does Rice have a lot of outplay potential here on this Thresh?
I think Rice definitely has a lot of outplay potential, and that's one of the weak sides of Rel as a champion. When she jumps in, she does really commit. That tank form that she's in, once that shield gets broken off, she's just a really slow person. Like, that's all that she turns into. Like, it's tanky, but she's just kind of walking around at like 150 movement speed, hoping that you just don't like poke her down. So, a lot of outplay. If Rice can flay out the Rel jumping in, kind of stop Old Scratch from ever really getting hit, then there's just a fear that they just end up just dying in the 2v2 because Jhin and Thresh just kind of run you down on the back end. So it's going to be really important for Adjustment and the sub to really make these engages clean. They have to be super on the point with this, because if they do end up going for that early game, again, the early game is going to be Zongi's playground. You have to
Mm-hmm.
fear what there's guys going. And you know that he's not going to be going top. It's Poppy versus Malphite. So he's going to be roaming that mid lane and bot lane river. And so if
Uh-huh.
you engage your and Zongi's around and you get punished for that 2v2, it gets to the point where when Rel jumps in, she's just giving 300 gold away. She's like, here's 300 gold, take form, take me away. She tries to jump in, she just gets one shot. And it becomes really feel bad for the subs. So it's gonna be
Yeah.
really important that they execute this perfectly, but I think that Rice does have a lot of outplay potential, and we've seen this Thresh before. It's looked really good. He's been able to keep the old scratch safe in a lot of different situations. So I have faith in Rice to really do a lot of work on this Thresh pick.
Well, the champions are locked in. The squads are loading onto the Rift. Me and Gungeon are going to hop into a quick break, but don't you guys click out of that browser. Idea PC and Stonefeld are ready and waiting on Summoner's Rift to cast game number 1 here at this best of 2 series. It's Omega Gaming Unleashed taking on Darkside. This is what playoffs are for. Potentially a playoff matchup here tonight. We'll be back soon. Don't click away.
Losing track under the water, searching for something that I've been missing. Looking back when we were younger, heartbeats were rushing, but always pumping. I drive away, leave it behind us, without a trace. Live for the day, dance in the moonlight. No one could say we didn't do it right. So far away, baby, I forgot to breathe. This town's got a hold on me. My mind is a casualty. Find me open spaces, static in my blood. Can you feel the flood? Yeah, I've seen enough. Find me open spaces. Open spaces. Find me open spaces. Open spaces. Find me open spaces. Feel the weight under the weather, counting the thunder, keeping me under. And if we break out from the tethers, fade into each other, I drive away, leave it behind us, without a trace. Live for the day, dance in the moonlight. No one could say.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Excellency Mid League. And Comcast strikes once again. Rice every meal here with the disconnect here. But we will get this game started up here shortly. But for those that do not know, I'm the Idea PC, joined for the first time on the desk by Stonefeld. Welcome, my friend. And here we are getting to cast some Excellency Mid League. We got Omega Gaming Unleashed there on the blue side, going up against a squad that really needs to kind of make a comeback here. Darkside is sitting right now just barely within playoff reach. They are the number 6th spot currently in the league. So going at least 1-1 in this matchup is absolutely vital for them.
Yeah, and I see Darkside making some adjustments to their roster and things like that, really, really trying to say that, we're willing to do whatever it takes. We're willing to bring in subs. I don't know if that might have been a conflict in a personal life or something like that, but we're also willing to switch lanes
Summoner's Rift. 30 seconds until minions spawn. Minions have spawned.
Playing these junglers that traditionally do want to just kind of farm up. But Hecarim can be a very, very strong pick. Towards the later stages of the game as well, I think that that champion is still useful no matter what, just because of his ability to kind of CC and lock down certain opponents and bring certain members out of position in these fights. I think will be a very, very positive benefit of the champion. It's also kind of I don't want to say it's a counter to the Poppy, but Hecarim can actually dive in with the onslaught of shadows and get the E off after Poppy is feared. So it does kind of maybe have a bit of a benefit here for Fallen Artemis on that pick. A little bit of trading in the mid lane, though. Coach is going to drop to sub 200 HP. Going to burn a little bit there on the Scorch, but Princeton here kind of getting maybe a little bit better of the trades in the mid lane.
Yeah, and something I want to pay attention to in this early game is the jungle changes that have come through recently on the experience and gold that you're going to get from camps. Hecarim is a jungler that wants to farm to that level 6, that wants to farm to that first item of Divine Sunderer. And if we can find a way to set him back at all, if Darkside can find a way to set him back at all, then it could be really spell bad news for the Hecarim here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely could indeed. Yeah, I don't know if you watched the TSM Cloud9 game last week, but it started off with Spica getting caught out 3 times in the early game and Chain dying, and he was I think it was like level 3 to a level 6 jungle on the Cloud9 side. So it felt really, really bad for Spica in that game. So Hecarim definitely a champion that can be punished early if he does get kind of caught out in some precarious positions, but so far just able to kind of farm up all on his own here, actually keeping pace with the Olaf, which is pretty good if you are going to be able to start this one off. Being able to get that first back, a full clear, feels pretty good on the Hecarim.
Yep, and jugglers are pathing to opposite sides here in the early game, which I think does benefit this Hecarim just a little bit, because if you turn the corner randomly in your jungle and you run into an Olaf this early into the game, it's not going to be very pretty for you. But the bottom side here for Darkside did spot out the Hecarim, so they do know that he was just down on this side of the map and probably know where he's headed next. And it looks like the pings are coming out onto the Scuttle Crab, and it looks like Olaf is going to try and secure a double Scuttle.
Yeah, absolutely. A good rotation actually here from the bottom lane of Darkside. Able to get that priority for the Olaf, being able to get that double Scuttle, very, very positive as well. You always do like to see it where you have this synergy and, where the bot lane does find times to roam to assist the jungler, especially in the early game. I think is a very, very important kind of deal for them. So good on them, able to, dominate vision control, and really they have the priority in pretty much every single lane right now. Top lane has been constantly shoved in. Smolcrum really has not been able to kind of make his way back towards the middle of that lane, and nor does he want to, I think. Right now, Princeton being the only matchup, really, that's getting either even or kind of equal or ahead of his laner. But mana problems could kind of plague him here, just in a bit. Just use that last charge in the Corrupting Pot, so going to try and shove this wave in and probably get his recall off, start working on that lost chapter.
Yeah, and what this is screaming to me is that Omega Gaming Unleash understands their win condition of this game, right? You saw the Hecarim just base and go to the top side of the map, not trying to contest the Scuttle Crab. knowing that none of his lanes have prio, and just waiting for probably those first item spikes to come in on the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed before they really want to group and see if they can get some team fight going or even a pick.
Yeah, absolutely. First Dragon, though, going to go on over to Darkside here with all of that priority that they've got in their lanes. They're catching the Syndra on the recall timer, no mana, so that feels pretty good. And yeah, bot lane just able to rotate with the pressure that they've got. However, I will say Adjustment is farming pretty well here up against the old Scratch. And, you know, in a lane that maintains parity, where there are no kills or deaths that go on over left or right to either one of these teams, the side with more CS is just going to be ahead in gold in that bottom lane matchup.
Yeah, and the important thing here in the middle lane is that Coach actually gets to walk back into this lane. Looks like he's not going to opt to burn the teleport. Maybe he's going to try and make a play with that within the next few minutes. So we have a TP advantage in the middle lane, and now we have a deep ward for Omega Gaming Unleashed on the bottom side of this map. I think they're going to look to set something up, or they know that something's coming, and I think both teams are looking to set something up, and we'll see what happens here in the next few minutes.
Yeah, Princeton's going to take the blast cone up and over the wall, trying to look for something there, but wisely, Scrubby and Zongi going to just walk their way out of the jungle there. Mia pings in the mid lane. You know, Coach here just farming it up and fully content to kind of take advantage here. Is going to be able to make back some of that CS that that he did lose by walking back to his tower. So does feel good here. But Zongi really playing really aggressively, and this is exactly what I was talking about here. You know, Princeton, though, now going to be on the other side of the wall. He's going to get stunned up. That's going to be it. Unleashed power comes on out. Has to smite the blue to get himself, but it's not going to save him from first blood. Stubby there now might actually be caught in between a rock and a hard place. No pun intended. But first blood going to go right on over into the hands of Fallen Artemis here on the Hecarim. Feels really, really good to be able to punish a very over-aggressive play there made by Zongi.
Yeah, Zongi, looking at the lanes there, saying that I have priority in all these lanes like we were talking about earlier. That means I get to invade, but just goes a little bit too deep. Syndra's first to move out of the middle lane, and now instead of using the TP advantage that Darkside had there, they end up giving over first blood, and we've already talked about where that puts the Hecarim. Hecarim just wants to get to that first item, and now he has some gold in his pocket to do that.
Absolutely, Stone, but you know, lane priority only really helps you if you can get there first. When you're all the way back at the Wolves, but Syndra's going to get there first every single time. So, you know, honestly, maybe a little overzealous of Zongi there, but going to get back out onto Summoner's Rift there, start taking up his camps one more time. But Hecarim going to be sitting on the completed Bombi's Cinder, sitting on about 1,000 gold right now, so we'll be able to work his way towards that first item. Going to be interesting to see what the itemization is going to be here. Rice Every Meal, though, has to be careful. The sub does have the opportunity. There's the flash. Going to come in. Nice flay, though. Going to come out from Rice Every Meal. And now the teleport coming on in here from Stubby. The sub going to get caught out just way too slow. Going to get caught out. This one's going to be handed right on over to the old Scratch. Easy peasy, ladies and gentlemen. Going to pick up a nice kill there in the bot lane to return one back.
And Gungeon called it on the desk before we even got into game that if you overcommit as Rel, then at some point you just kind of become a slow champion. That if that shield goes away, then you're just going to get popped. And I think that's exactly what we saw there. The kill goes over to the Jhin for the old Scratch here, which is exactly where this team wants it. So the gold is shaping up so that Hecarim has enough gold for these mid-game team fights. And now the Jhin is also going to have a lot of gold in these mid-game team fights. Like I said, these two teams are going to be trying to accomplish the same thing, and I'm really interested to see what happens when they actually meet up at an objective. Where is this gold going to pan out for the sake of kills and for the sake of that fight?
Yeah, absolutely here, but still neutral objectives going to be going on over the way of Darkside, despite the early death that Zongi did have to himself. Teleport used in the mid lane there. Coach going to use that one up, so teleport advantage. Going to briefly go on over to Omega Gaming Unleashed here for the moment, as Simulcrum and Princeton will have both of their teleports up here in about the next 30 seconds or so. So both of those can be online for a play. But Rift Herald going to go on over. Neutral objectives, as I said, so far going the way of Darkside. And they're really just kind of pathing effectively. You know, despite the one mistake that Zongi did make here early, now looking actually for the dive. Old Scratch going to be forced to flash away. Adjustment with the rocket jump, only going to be able to land a couple of autos here. But this should be enough for them to push them off the tower here, grab a couple turret plates, and that's going to be a little bit more gold in the pocket here of Adjustment.
Yeah, and I think that this Darkside here is, going to drop the Rift Herald in the middle lane. Coach, really good use of the TP to come back at the right
but
time.
there's a stun that's going to come on through. That's going to force out the flash from Coach. But that's going to be Zongi going unstoppable. But it doesn't stop you from dying. He's going to go down real quick there as the Unleashed Power and Fallen Artemis make a nice wombo combo in the mid lane to punish him once again here.
Yeah, and the idea there was really good by Coach to get that lane pushing and come and drop the Rift Herald. They were trying to have tempo for this Drake. Unfortunately, the Hecarim just runs in and says, no, that's not how this game's going to go. We're going to start taking these objectives. It's our time to be on top.
Yeah, and we really still have to ask ourselves is, what does this really mean for the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed? They're able to get some picks down here on this Olaf, and this does have some implications for later in the game. I mean, if Olaf, he is kind of one of those champions that can be what I like to call feast or famine. He wants to be able to get ahead early. He wants to be able to have a huge farm lead. He wants to be able to make plays and gank early, but right now, Fallen Artemis has just been on it. He's had the rotations coming out from his laners first. He's been there for the counter ganks, and he's really playing smartly here on this Hecarim pick that he knows he can get punished early by the Olaf if he's not careful. So having that kind of clarity and being able to play carefully around these types of champions that are picked here on Summoner's Rift, I really, really like to see that coming out here from the jungler of Omega Gaming Unleashed.
Yeah, and now we have 2 kills onto this Hecarim. We're still waiting to see exactly what the build is gonna be here. Rushing those.
I think it might be a chem tank. Actually.
Yep, I'm thinking chem tank is coming through as well. Get that speed up. I haven't seen this build in a game just yet. I haven't played with it just yet, so I'm really excited to see what happens. Particularly, he's going to get to that chem tank a lot faster than anyone else. So there should be a point in this game where Hecarim has a mythic item, can run really, really fast at people, and nobody else on the map is going to be able to match that damage.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it means champions like the Jhin, who don't exactly have the most mobility in the world, save for Gale Force if he decides to buy it this game, could be a little bit troublesome here. Ghost's going to be popped, though. Going to be knocked back at the E. Rice every meal now in a little bit of trouble. Overextended. That's going to be the stun from Syndra to line that one up. Give the assist and the kill on over to Adjustment. Going to put another one in his pocket here, and he's going to be feeling really, really good there. But once again, a nice punish coming out here from Omega Gaming Unleashed to find these Darkside members out of position. Yeah,
and the story for Fallen Artemis here has just been right place, right time. Every single time, he's just in the right place to pick up these kills and really sort of out-jungling at this point, even though the Olaf could have, exposed that lead a little bit earlier. Now, Fallen Artemis is just a little bit ahead, and it's going to be difficult.
Flash there in the mid lane, the sub trying to make a nice and cheeky play against Coach there. Going to drop the ward behind the Raptors there, just constantly trying to track this Olaf. And right now, when you are this far ahead in the jungle matchup, it can kind of do you some favors to be able to know where that where that Olaf is going to be to try and repeatedly punish. So I do like the kind of idea of like, oh, okay, I'm going to be fine here. Let me go ahead and drop the ward anyway. We can get a little bit of extra jungle tracking going on here. The sub, though, has been really, really consistent here with these roams, making his way up towards the mid lane and putting some pressure onto Coach throughout this game. Poppy, though, also kind of making her way downtown here over towards the river and the bottom side of that upper portion of the map, but nothing really going to come out of it too much here.
Yeah, the sub making some really good roams here. But also checking in on the bottom lane, the CS differential for Tristana versus Jhin here, 125 to 108. So the sub is free to roam and making these roams, but also the Tristana is still ahead and not left to her own devices in a 2v1 in a way to get dives. So really good wave management.
Oh, but here it is. Coming around the backside, the sub and Artemis going to find them both out. It's going to be huge AoE damage coming out here, and that's going to be 1. Make it 2 kills going on over the way of Omega Gaming Unleashed, and it's Darkside caught, not checking their 6, and getting caught out here in the mid lane jungle.
Yeah, and there it is, that Hecarim having a chem tank, and if you look at the other side, the first mythic items are coming through for a few people, but the Gore Drinker is just not enough on the Olaf there, and that's another kill, 3-0-2 on this Hecarim. I'm wondering if that's the scaling that we're looking at. If we can start to think about Darkside getting a good team fight, they really need to get a pick on this Hecarim if we have a dive in the bottom lane.
But here it comes again. The old Scratch going to get caught out. He's going to go down. Adjustment making it his second kill of the game here. And Fallen Artemis really just starting to run away with the jungle matchup. Has so much presence here on the Hecarim. Being able to zoom across the map and make plays. just means that Omega Gaming Unleashed is going to be really set up here for the mid game. First turret also going to go down in their favor. I mean, we're looking at it now. The gold difference there between 80 carries is sitting about around 1,000. So adjustment going to be very, very strong here on this Tristana, who does scale very wonderfully into the late game as she does continue to get increased range, has the mobility. I mean, it's going to be really, really hard to kind of stop that pick. And when you look at the entire composition here from the side of Darkside, you know, you really are relying on a lot of that consistent damage to be coming out of this Corki with the rockets to be able to poke down some of these targets before you go in for some of those engages with the Thresh and the Olaf. But unfortunately, they just don't have any real way to stop the engage. I mean, you know, as I discussed earlier, Poppy, not exactly the best counter for the Hecarim, who happens to be the strongest diving champion that they've got right now on the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed. So it's going to be really, really difficult here in the mid game. I want to see Darkside try to consolidate here, try to look for plays where they can have a numbers advantage. They are grouping up around the Cloud Dragon here. That will be Cloud Soul for this game. So at least they are able to hold on to some of these objectives for now. But at what cost really is the question here. They're going to lose another top lane tower up here. The sub just going to continue to kind of bat back and forth here with Stubby.
Yeah, Omega Gaming Unleashed really putting on a lesson in tempo here, you know, saying, okay, you're going to be able to secure an objective, but we have the tempo on the map right now. We're going to go top lane. We're going to push that. We're going to take the second Rift Herald, at least try to. And I really want to see both teams grouping up around objectives, specifically Darkside, to try and get a fight off.
Oh, here it is, though. Trying to find Princeton. That's going to be Scatter the Weave, being able to get Coach back in the hook. Just barely not going to find its mark. That will be a flashless Syndra, though, for the next 5 minutes. So something definitely to kind of keep an eye out for here. And with them being able to get that priority in the mid lane, it does kind of set them up maybe a little bit to start up this Herald. They are kind of looking at it right now, but Jin's still on the rotation. Tristana, though, on this side of the map means that maybe they will not go for this one just quite yet. Unleash Power gonna come out here kind of early. We'll have to see if that is a mistake or not if they do decide to fight for this Rift Herald. But it seems like both teams are just going to kind of back off on this one for now.
Yeah, Darkside is down 6-1 in kills here and down a whole bunch of gold, but they're not scared at all.
Fallen Artemis here. Yep, waiting for it. That's going to be a hook and a root. Smokrum, though, kind of a big tanky boy.
Yeah, maybe not the target you're looking for, but I do like the idea that they are grouping up around this objective. They're grouping up the fight. I think a lot of the responsibility falls to the Poppy here, Stubby in the top lane, to have some disengage.
Oh, Thresh, though, going to be caught out. He's not tanky enough just quite yet. Rice Evermeal going to get caught out and swept away as Fallen Artemis makes his 4th kill. He's on a rampage now. And with the support from Darkside down, it forces the 4v5 here, and Omega Gaming Unleashed going to be able to pick up the Rift Herald and be able to send that one down into these lanes. Right now, outer turret's looking pretty weak, and with Rift Herald on the rise here, they should be able to send that one down to the mid lane on the timing of their choosing to try and knock out all of these outer tier 1 turrets. Very, very important for them in the Vision game and being able to continue to kind of punish the Olaf in his own jungle. Exactly what I want to see coming out from this Omega Gaming squad, who is really looking to kind of put their mark down here in the season and tell the rest of the teams here in the Excellency Mid-League that they are indeed a top team.
Yeah, Darkside here is down 7-1 kills, but they're not out of this game just yet. I like what they're trying to accomplish. Unfortunately, they just keep getting picked off. This Hecarim going from lane to lane is just too fast and too good of a position. I think that they still have a chance. They're not terribly down in gold. The Olaf here has a good CS lead, even though the Hecarim is 4-0. The Olaf has a good CS lead and is still in this game. So let's see if they can group up and make a play.
Yep, absolutely. I did have to make my bingo card, by the way. I did not make it while they were drafting. So I will have to fill that one out here at the conclusion of this game. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've not already made your bingo card, what is wrong with you? Go ahead and use that link that is there in the Twitch chat and make your bingo card. Anyway, with that said, though, Cloud Dragon going to be up here in about 1 minute and 30 seconds. This is usually the time that I like to see champions starting to set themselves up for some vision in the pit. Right now, that vision is pretty solidly dominated by Omega Gaming Unleashed. So not really any strong vision to kind of know what is going on here for the next minute and a half. from the side of Darkside. Could be a little bit difficult for them to try and continue to contest these neutral objectives as they have been able to do so cleanly, at least throughout the early game. They were able to secure themselves a Rift Herald and 2 Dragons, putting them slightly up ahead in those neutral objectives.
Yeah, and at this point in the game, I'd really like to see a blue trinket coming out from Darkside, from Coach and the Old Scratch, both of them. They both just took a reset and still have their yellow trinkets. And I think that's kind of a mistake when you have a Hecarim that's just running around picking people off. You know, being able to place wards at range and get vision, deep vision like that is really, really valuable. And now you can see them starting to move into the jungle here.
Yeah, they just drop the Herald mid right there and make it a really, really easy one. Going to invade the jungle, steal up a blue buff here. Probably going to go into the hands of Princeton. That's going to feel really, really good here. Blue buff Syndra, she is able to constantly spam her Q, which sets up so much control as literally just a control mage to be able to control some of these very, very tight corridors, which I think is very, very good for the champion in general, and especially when you are getting ready for this dragon that's going to be spawning in the next 15 seconds. The vision is just completely dominated, and honestly, I want to see Darkside just go out, push lanes, get some CS. I like what they're doing up here in the top side. They're accepting the fact that they will not be able to get this Cloud Dragon. They do not have the vision, they do not have the control, and they're making some advantage out of it, at least getting something for what they are giving up. Being able to take out that top turret and maybe make a threat here for the tier 2.
Yeah, a really smart play, not getting picked off, knowing what Omega Gaming Unleashed is trying to accomplish and saying, you know what, we're gonna wait. We're not gonna fight you just yet. We know what our win conditions are. This isn't Soul Point or anything like that. We're just gonna let you have it. And we're gonna take some stuff on the top side of the map. Really good cross maps by Zongi this game. Even though he has been caught out a few times, he's been very smart about how he's accomplishing his jungle pathing.
Yep. Coach though, yeah, gonna see the Unleashed power come out. Not gonna be really putting him in there in kill range. Should just be able to kind of cut this one back, but Fallen Artemis going to force out the flash from Old Scratch, just kind of caught out in the jungle there. Kind of unfortunate positioning here, and that's just another champion that already lacks a lot of mobility without probably their biggest form of kind of safety. So definitely gonna be looking for that one.
With a 4-0 Hecarim and a 1-0 Syndra sitting on the map, it is a tough game to beat Jhin. And you can kind of see that story reflected in the CS as the adjustments CS advantage has just exploded here, 210 to 164 now. And I think the Jhin is looking for somewhere to farm, some way to get gold, some income so he can carry some of these fights, and he's just not finding it.
Yeah, and I mean, at that point, it really does kind of beg the question is who is the carry going to be? I mean, Coach playing perfectly fine right now here on the Corki. He hasn't been caught out. Has played pretty intelligently so far at being able to kind of maintain somewhat of CS parity there with the Syndra. But, I mean, the kills and all of the gold, the assists, and everything else that, the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed has gotten really doesn't leave you with a clear carry here for the side of Darkside, because almost everybody that you are going to be going up against will have a gold lead or a power advantage over you.
Yeah, and I wonder if we're going to run into a problem here for Darkside. They're a little bit behind, and they do have a lot of AD in their comp. So when it comes down to who is the carry going to be, it's going to come down to a lot of positioning from Coach and the Old Scratch to kite out some of these fights, make sure that Stubby has some opportunities to disengage before the Hecarim and the Syndra and the Tristana and the Rel can get on top of the carries. So positioning is going to be key here. Eventually, they're going to have to group. For now, farming up, getting some gold on your carries is good, but eventually Drake is going to come around. That fourth Jake is going to come around, or even as we're seeing some pinks coming out now, the Nash is going to get started, and you're going to be forced to fight.
Yeah, you absolutely are. I mean, right now, Princeton just pushing out the lanes down here towards the bottom side of the map. It's, I don't know. It is kind of a difficult position right now if you are on the side of Darkside. You know that you have a gold disadvantage, and it can be a little bit difficult to kind of deal with. Gonna be taking a look here, though.
Yeah, it's difficult to deal with, absolutely. As teams they're really just farming up both sides here. 238 farm now on this Tristana, and I think that's going to be very scary with the Lord Dominic's coming out second here into the Poppy.
Indeed. And with the Cloud Dragon as well, Cloud Soul on the table, if Omega Gaming Unleashed is kind of able to continue to pick up those objectives, it really is kind of dangerous. I mean, you already get the passive move speed for every dragon that is picked up, and especially when you pair that with champions like Rel, like the Hecarim, right? These guys that want to be able to kind of chase you down, be able to stay on top of you, or catch up. it's very, very, very good. So I would say, yes, Cloud Dragon is probably the most underrated of the four elemental drakes, but I think for this team composition, it really does work out pretty well.
Yeah, and something we haven't paid a lot of attention to is the top side of the map, or at least the top lane, this Poppy into Malphite matchup. And look at that CS difference built up by the Poppy, playing really well, knowing, and I feel like Stubby understands that this game, I am the disengage. I need to have some control over these team fights, along with Rice every meal. But I think Rice is going to be peeling mostly in these fights, and so trying to CC targets and disengage a little bit might come down to Stubby, and playing really, really well, rising to this challenge. As we see a stack here, maybe a Death Brush.
Yeah, it's almost kind of tragic. They know that this dragon is spawning in 40 seconds. And honestly, if you play it smart, maybe Darkside just continues to go for some other advantages, but they're going to be completely caught out here. That's going to be Fallen Artemis going in here. Huge, huge, huge damage. Rel with Magnetic Storm and the knockup adjustment there. Being able to get one, looking for his second. Unleashed power, though. And the Ignite will be able to take down Rice every meal, as now Stabby going to try and run for the hills here, knocking some members away and getting himself a little bit of clearance. That's going to be 2-4-0 traded over. Omega Gaming Unleashed win the fight with some intelligent positioning and are going to be able to start up this Baron.
Yeah, it looks like they had absolutely no vision on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go for Stubby here. That's going to be the Baron stopped up, and kind of curious to see here. Darkside maybe not wanting to 50-50 this one. Zongi still does have the Blast Cone behind him. They are going to be opting to go on over for the Dragon here as they make their way down towards the bottom side of the map. They see that the Old Scratch and Rice Every Meal have respawned. Could be interesting to see, though, exactly what Darkside decides to do with this. I almost want to say that they could all just run 5-man over to the Baron, try to burst it down. But actually, no. Omega Gaming Unleashed playing this one very, very, very smart, maintaining their top laner and their bot lane towards the mid, being able to keep some vision ahead while the Tristan and the Hecarim do the Dragon. Very, very well played. Nice positioning there. You have to love it.
Yeah, I love that Darkside isn't backing off here, even with some members down. They're pushing Omega Gaming off of the Baron, and I think something we should look for in the future is that they got caught out in the middle lane there. The Jhin got, a Hecarim on top of him, which is just going to keep happening. And I keep saying that the Poppy needs to be there to help that, and I want to see them change up their side laning a bit. Poppy was on the top side of the map as that started, and just was really late to the fight. And you could see the usefulness that Poppy had when they were pushing them off of that Baron. I really want to see Stubby starting to group with the team here and maybe sending Coach to pick up some of these sideways, or even the Old Scratch to help get them more gold income.
Yeah, absolutely. It is just so hard to outplay kind of the Hecarim Rel combination, especially when Hecarim goes in with his Onslaught of Shadows. He is in that unstoppable state, and then Rel can actually drop the stun, right? She can drop the stun, from being far away if she links up with that Hecarim. And so you just get the stun off, you get feared, and then you get knocked back, and then Malphite R. I mean, the CC is absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
It's absolutely brutal. And so if you are not in a perfect position, and if you are not playing pretty safely far back, you just get immediately set down on.
Yeah, and we keep talking about Darkside's win conditions here for some of these team fights, and it's very apparent to me that Omega Gaming understand their opponent's win condition as well. They're doing a really good job clearing out vision, playing around vision, coming from unique angles where, the carries don't even expect. The Jhin was completely caught off guard there in that last fight. And they're doing a really good job of making sure that they can do that. They can kind of sneak attack their opponent. You just have no idea Chemtech Hecarim is coming out of the top side of your map from behind you and just going to absolutely one-shot you.
Absolutely, and that is really just the product of not having that vision control. And it all started with those kind of early aggressive plays by Zongi that maybe caused the game to go a little bit farther behind than they would have liked. After losing some of that priority, you lose that vision in the jungle, and then you get repeatedly kind of taken advantage of by Fallen Artemis here on the Hecarim, where he can go almost anywhere on the map because he's so dang gone quick, especially with the chem tank.
Yeah. Here we go. Looks like we have
hold on. Yep. The sub there gonna find out Rice every meal as he tries with the flay, but he's just gonna get burst down. All 5 members of Omega Gaming Unleashed converge onto the support of Darkside like a mob of angry bees, and they're gonna be able to pick that one up. And Baron now maybe on the docket here. Control wards in the pit. Vision is all theirs. Going to be able to knock out some of that here on the backside, but Baron going to be sitting here at about 50%. No Blast Cone available, and Zongi does not have his flash available, so his only way of being able to pick this one up is going in there with the Ragnarok, but gonna get engaged on first here. Gonna have to pop it early. Hecarim, though, over the top is gonna be able to find his way right onto the Old Scratch, and Zongi's gonna go down as Old Scratch flashes his way up and over the red buff pit. Another pick here. 2 of them for the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed, and this Baron has to be all but theirs. Coach, though, not going to go down without a fight. Going to be throwing rocket after rocket after rocket into the pit here. Really low health bars. That's going to be the curtain call as well. It actually might force Omega Gaming Unleashed off of this Baron, and indeed it will. Nice play there, and really smart from Coach.
Yeah, the poke coming out from Darkside here, continually pushing them off of this Baron and making sure that Omega Gaming can't secure that objective. And I'm wondering a little bit about this Hecarim build at this point. We saw him there dive onto the Old Scratch, full comboing the Jhin, but Jhin was able to live and eventually push the team off of Baron. So it's possible that this build on Hecarim isn't as good as some Sunderer builds or the Triforce builds of old, and he's not going to just one-shot everybody on the map.
Yeah, not quite. Does not have the same killing potential there with the Chem Tank, although he is very fast. But I would have to agree with you. I mean, he is very quick in this game. Maybe the extra move speed is not exactly what you are looking for, although he is maybe a little bit tankier. But Cloud Dragon here in 30 seconds. This will be Cloud Soul. And Omega Gaming Unleashed going to be trying to get this one locked up and secured for their team. Darkside, though, going to be pushing out these waves, and they are actually ones here with the priority in the river. They do have control over the pit as of this moment. Old Scratch going to be joining them here on the backside, and could be a little bit worrying. All ultimates are up here from this all hard engaged composition that Omega Gaming Unleashed has drafted. Really, they wait for Darkside to start up this dragon, and then you go in. And, hopefully you blow up Coach or you blow up the Old Scratch. There it is, Flash, and the Unstoppable Force going to find 3 members. The Fallen Artemis, though, going to be going right on in. The Coach, he's going to go down as Adjustment is unstoppable. Curtain Call can only do so much as they're trying to find some kills. That's going to be Olaf. Zongi going down. Triple kill now here for Adjustment. Make it a Quadra. Looking for the Penta. Flash forward, ladies and gentlemen. Penta kill here for Adjustment. And Cloud Soul for Omega Gaming Unleashed. Give it to him, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to run that one down the mid lane there. Might actually be looking to try and get this one with that inhibitor kill, but what a play.
Yeah, an absolute, just lesson in how to play Malphite there. And that's something that Malphite players can do and top laners can do is you haven't really seen the engage from Malphite just yet. This is the first fight where I think Darkside was trying to say, look, we've hit some item spikes here. We've got a collector on Jhin. We want to fight you. And Malphite says, I have flash, I have ultimate, and you're all going to die. And it's a pentakill for the Tristana. The mid inhibitor goes down here as well. The mid inhib isn't always the best to take, but they didn't really have any other lanes pushing, so take what you can get there with the shorter death timers for the side of Darkside. And I'm interested to see how they decide to play this now. The Baron is up. They know they win fights. Let's see if they just go for it.
That was so pog, Stone. That was so pog.
It was amazing.
Oh, man. Adjustment with the pentakill. 9-0-4 now on the Tristana, 300 nearly CS. That feels good, man. Feels good to cast one of those. But if you are on the side of Darkside, you're not feeling so great right now. You're sitting at a 7k gold disadvantage. Soul just went over to the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed. I mean, at this point, you are hoping for a miracle steal to be coming out of Zongi on this next Baron to be following up to try and get your team maybe somewhat back in this game, but it's just so hard. I mean, look how fast they are. Fallen Artemis just going to be running down Coach in the mid lane, going to be able to knock him back. He gets CC chained very easily. Adjustment picks up his 10th kill of the game, and Simulcrum going to wrap up the Thresh there, make it another one. Princeton is going to wrap one there as well. 3-4-0 in the mid lane. No minion wave, but they say we do not need it. They are going to try to end this one out. Zoning Zongi off. He can't even walk up to try and defend his base. Poppy stopping the wave, but they're already going to be able to knock down one of these towers in the mid lane.
Yeah, towers are going down. We're over here talking about the Baron and the objectives, and the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed just say no. We don't need any of that.
Stubby, look at his health bar. Where did it go? Adjustment is going to be legendary and pick him up. Zongi going to get caught out here. No Ragnarok available. Going to get stunned up. And that's going to be another kill. Ace here for Omega Gaming Unleashed in a dominating fashion here in game number 1. They are going to be able to probably close this one out. The sole defender there of Rice Evermeal not going to be enough. Curtain call comes out, but it's too little too late. And ladies and gentlemen, Omega Gaming Unleashed take game 1 in the bag.
Yep, game 1 going over there was insane. The Tristana absolutely popping off.
Kind of a ridiculous performance, honestly, out of Adjustment. I mean, able to really wrap that one pretty nice and easy peasy for them. But you know what, Stone? We're going to go ahead and throw this one on over to the Excellency Mid-League Analyst Desk. Mac, Dewey, and Gungeon, gentlemen, take it away.